out of here. Should be good. Let's look my life. Hi everyone. James, you have my whole face on your computer.
It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day.
Nice. Hi, James's people.
There it is. See?
You get homey this week.
It's a new day, a new age. Yes.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Okay, so we're just gonna dig right in. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Yes. Yes.
What are we talking about?
Steps. The 12 steps, 9 through 12. We're going to finish this up. Next week we'll be on to some new adventures.
Yeah, I might have to break for a second.
I want to
don't have
thank
my lips.
everybody last week for tuning in and asking questions and joining in on the live in Virginia's absence. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for hanging out with James. I think that
hanging
went well.
out. Yeah.
Okay, let's start. Let's recap the 12 steps. What we've already covered here a little bit. So step 1. I'm gonna go through these and you say what you say.
Okay.
Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable.
Come out of denial about our alcohol or drug or any addiction use and get some acceptance.
You have the power to quit. It's really hard, but you have the power.
Yes.
So, on the other hand, it's going to keep you sick for as long as that's that whole readiness thing we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So, quitting is hard, but it's also easy, but it's also hard. It seems easy, but it's really, really hard. Okay, but you do have the power. Recovery is possible. Okay, step 2.
Step 2.
Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Power greater than ourselves. What does that mean?
You're
Is that
not
God thing?
You're not God. Find something that can give you strength to overcome your addiction.
And a power greater than ourselves. A lot of people misconstrue the 12 steps. They think it's a God program. Higher power, whatever that is for you, source, little green men, God, universe, whatever it is. But there is something outside of you that is bigger, brighter, smarter, faster, meaner, scarier, more joyful, all the things that is not you.
Absolutely.
So get out of your own way, dig deep, find that higher power, and that's what I think AA means by.
And if you need a starting place, good orderly direction.
What?
Good orderly direction. Do the next right thing, the next right thing comes to you.
Sometimes that's hard.
It is
We're going
hard.
to talk about that.
It is hard. It
Okay.
is hard.
Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. As
Yes.
we understood Him, or it, universe, source. I keep saying that because I think it's important. I think the whole God thing turns a lot of people away.
It
We
has.
don't want that.
It has. I've seen it in the rooms turn people
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
So just give it a try and trust the process and just go and find community. That for me is the most important thing in AA is that community.
Yep.
Let's face it, you nosedived on all your friendships and your family and you broke a lot of things. So for me in the rebuild phase, just trust the process and go. And that's where you're going to find recovery is in your community.
Yes.
Okay. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves, where everybody that I've ever worked with gets stuck.
Yeah. In my addiction, I had no morals and values. Anything goes. I lived.
Spend the rent.
and let's spend the rent. And even every boundary I even tried to set it, I would always push it back and back and back and back. So I live by no morals and values. So this is an opportunity to find me some. Get a foundation.
Yeah.
Get a strong foundation to stand on.
And a lot of people with making a searching, made a made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. This is the stuff that's sitting in the closets and in the dark. The quiet parts are what you're going to talk about.
Yep.
And I think for a lot of people, that's what makes this, like, we have like 4 gadgets. So I don't know where I'm looking at any time during this thing. So bear with us. Because we're live in several different locations. But the moral inventory is, we're going to talk about the quiet parts. We're going to talk about the edges. We're going to talk about the stuff you shoved in the closet, the things you did, the things you maybe don't even remember that you did, the lies you told, the people you hurt. It's facing your edges and facing yourself and facing the addiction. Addicted you is not sober you. I said this to somebody years ago. I was like, when I was over at one of the treatment facilities, it dawned on me one day, and I don't even know why. I was like, you guys, I don't even know addiction you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you guys are so different. Sober you, fascinating.
Yes.
Powerful. You guys, there's such power in recovery.
Yes.
Some of the smartest, most intelligent, genius people I've ever met are in recovery.
Yes.
So, and I've always said somebody's got to research that and study it, because I'm telling you, there is genius in addiction, and
Absolutely.
I think that's part of what leads people to use.
Absolutely.
Because where do the geniuses fit in?
Right.
They don't fit in with the younger folks. They don't fit in with the older folks. So where are your people? And so you connect with people that don't judge.
I had a tough finding spot.
Huh?
I had a tough finding the spot, you know? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you found one.
Yeah, I found one.
Okay. So you admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And I have trouble with that one because, and we talked about that, like, you should not be going and knocking on doors and saying, hey, that thing I did to you that was so shitty.
Well, this
Sorry
is before
about
that. This before that. This is
Yeah,
where you
he
sit down.
corrects me.
Sorry, this is where you sit down with your sponsor, and this is kind of like bait. And when you do a little research on it, it's like you going to a priest and confessing
So,
your sins.
Remember I told you these confuse me. Like,
Yeah.
I put them together. So
Yeah, this
the
one
is you make the moral inventory is one step.
So once you make it, then you take all that inventory and wrote the things you wrote down, and you admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being.
Yeah.
So I
That's
sit
where
down
you
with
sat
my
your
sponsor. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
number 5.
Yeah.
So now you're taking ownership and you're saying
Taking
the
ownership.
things out loud.
Yep.
You're like, yo, here's what I did with another human. You admit, like, I'm wide open, cards face up on the table.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like going to a confessional to see a priest and confessing. I think Catholic religion does
That's
that, I
a
believe.
Catholic thing.
Catholic religion, yeah. So it's in the realm of that. You go and you sit down with I did it with a sponsor. You can do it with a priest. You can do it, with somebody you trust, because you're going to be sharing a lot of intimate things and secrets with this person. So you have to trust them.
And how free did you feel after you did that?
Man, it was a spiritual awakening. They talk about like spiritual awakenings or aha moments in the program, and I felt so light, and I felt refreshed. I felt like a new man the next day, like I could do anything, because all that stuff was that I had been carrying for so long, and thought I was so unique. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
So.
And I want to talk to women, like, domestic violence is addiction. We get addicted to the trauma bond. We get addicted to the chaos. And so for those of you that are watching that are not necessarily drugs and alcohol wasn't your thing, maybe it's gaming, maybe it's porn, maybe it's video games, maybe it's whatever, like, all of these, the 12 steps still apply if you're addicted to your work, if you're addicted to a human. And so even looking back, if drugs and alcohol wasn't your thing, when I was getting out of my situation, I was addicted to a person. And looking back, don't you still like uncover, like some days hit you and you're like, oh shit, I did do that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. So years can go by and you're going to have these memories pop up once in a while. And it's
Absolutely.
like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just know that as you're doing, I feel like the 12 steps is a moving animal in
Yeah.
recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't
I listened to
stop.
this guy this morning. He was so good. He was talking about porn, and he was saying that porn is a product, just like alcohol. Just like drugs and things. It's a product. They just put the product out there. We get addicted to the product. And if we look at it, it's progressive too, because your searches start to change and start to get deeper and dirtier, and
Man.
and so when he really enlightened me this morning, because I thought I knew it was addiction, right? I work with people that have that, but I also, it was just the way he explained it. I'd never really thought about it like that before. He really opened my eyes, like just as a product. I was like,
Oh,
wow, yeah,
kids
that was an eye opening. I really enjoyed it.
kids are looking at porn like when we were coming up,
Hmm.
like it was locked down. You had to have a password. You have to, when it first came out on the internet.
Hmm.
Now it's all free. It's everywhere.
It's
It's
everywhere.
rampant, and
Yeah.
it's scary as hell that our kids have access to this stuff. And by the time they get to us, they've been in it for years and years and years. I mean, my husband was in it for a lifetime. He started when he was 5 years old. And by the time he got to me, it was just, it was over. But
Yeah, at my
whatever.
age, I'm fairly older, so I remember sneaking and getting in my grandfather's closet.
Playboys,
Yeah,
yeah.
Playboys.
Hustler,
Yep,
Playboy,
yep. Seeing the nudie mags at
yeah.
7, 8 years old. It's
Yeah.
a thing to behold.
Well, so kids on the internet with pornography, it's rampant. It's everywhere. It's free. And I was
Mhm.
watching the other day. There's a show on, I don't remember, maybe Max something, and they were talking about kids that were convicted at 17 years old of sex trafficking. No, porn.
Porn, child
Yeah,
pornography.
child pornography,
Mhm.
peddling child pornography because
Mhm.
they sent a naked picture of themselves. There's a kid, 17 years old, senior in high school, having sex with a 14-year-old.
Mhm.
He turned 18. They were still boyfriend, girlfriend. So now he's a sex offender looking at 40 years in prison.
Mhm.
Like this whole sex game that is a billions dollar industry, it's just so out of control. Like somebody fix that. It's crazy. But anyway, we went off on a little tangent.
We did, we did, we did.
But admitted to God in ourselves and another human, entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character.
Now, what I say about this is, yes, we have our higher power. Yes, we have God, but we have to do the footwork. We got to put in the footwork to recognize our defects of character, what we need to work on, how we're going to work on those, what do we want to put in place, and all those things. We can't. It's not one of those things where you say, "Okay, God, take away my defects of character." No, you got to recognize them and work on them yourself, and that's the hard part. Looking in the mirror. The drugs and alcohol or whatever it is the addiction is, we set that down. We stop doing it. That's the easy part. Now the hard part is, why am I using? What's driving that? What about
Where is
me?
it rooted?
Where is it rooted at? And you say it well all the time, like the edges, the dark places, all those things. We have to take a look at all that. Look in the mirror and say, what needs to change in me so that I don't go backwards to this addiction? And trust me, if you don't change, nothing changes. You're gonna go back to your addiction.
I think that's.
I've done it. I've done it time and time again. I didn't change anything about me. I just set it down,
Mhm.
and nothing changed. It's
So I'm going to say this: we're therapists, but we're not your therapist. This is, and we already said this is for education and entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay, but see, I think that's like one of the things that I think I appreciate most about our style of therapy is like, by the time you get to us, especially when it comes to drug and alcohol, like we see people on death's doorstep, like get busy living or get busy dying, and I have that conversation with folks all the time. Like, which direction am I walking you into? Do you want to do life or do you want to do death? Because I'm here for either way, but really it's up to you.
mm-hmm.
And I think that when we approach this in that manner, I think it's shocking. I think we shock people with our style of therapy because it's like, there's a right way and a wrong way. Which direction do you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
And there are Like, I just recently did it this week before I even met someone. I was like, I can't. You're not ready. Like, when you're ready to live, yeah, I'm your girl. But
Yeah.
until then, like, there are stages of readiness. You're not quite there. I need you to be readier than that. So
Yes.
we'll talk about that.
And those
in
are
a
tough
minute.
conversations to have with
Yeah.
somebody, you know, like when you see your action. A lot of people come in and say, I'm ready, I'll do anything, this and that, but their actions don't show it, you know.
But I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah, my way, yeah.
I know exactly what I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many
What
times
can
has
I-
that worked out? That's
Yeah.
all I can say,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Okay, so defects of character, like, trust the process. Let us do our jobs. Let us help you do the work. There's tons and tons of resources available. Even if you don't have a good job in insurance, you still have access to great resources. We can help you. Case managers can help you. Treatment facilities can help you. Good therapists can help you. Good doctors, functional health. There's just so much information available to you. So, is it a defect of character? Is it trauma?
Correct. A lot of trauma. Probably.
Yeah. So likely it's rooted somewhere in trauma. Being an addict, which I hate that word, but I'm going to say it right now, is traumatic. It is
In itself.
hard to be. So
My addiction was built on trauma, but fueled by trauma as well.
yeah.
Because there's more and more trauma you pile on yourself the longer you go in it. And 26 years in it, I had considerable trauma.
You never think you're going to shoot up. You'd never think you're going to
Nope.
prostitute for drugs. You'd never think you'd. So much people do in active addiction that they would never you like stop even recognizing yourself. This isn't, yeah. So
Yeah.
defective character, the way you were brought up, trauma, lots of things could be going on there that have kept you in an active addiction. Okay. Humbly, step 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings, him being higher power.
Higher power, yeah. And once again, that's just doing the work. What is our shortcomings? What do we want to work on? How can we improve ourselves? How can we be better men and women without these drugs and alcohol, you know, without the addiction? And this is just building our life back, you know, getting those important people back in our life, and you know, being able to go to work 8 hours a day and stay, and you know, do just the life things like that you can't do when you're addicted, you know, that just trying to remove those things and become better each and every day.
And for me, like I talk a lot about domestic violence and addiction to other things, but like humbly asking him to remove our shortcomings, like what role did I play in this hot mess?
Yep.
Like how did I play this game? Because I agreed to it, right? I agreed to that addiction. I agreed to go to the casino. I agreed to ... So taking ownership of my role in this, because addiction will take over your brain. It's a disease. It's a brain rewire. But then admitting, like, I could have done that better, and I could have done that better, and I could have done that better, and here's how I contributed to my contract with this addiction. I agreed to all these things, so just realizing what you need to change about yourself to get yourself in sobriety.
Absolutely.
Healthier and balanced.
Stop blaming everything and everybody.
Yeah.
Take ownership for it right here, you know.
And it's not that hard, and it's not that scary. It's, I think, the unknown. Opening the closet door and letting the skeletons fall out and naming them and recognizing, like, their role in your life. It's not that hard. It's not that scary. You'll see once you give it a try that it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Therapy does not have to be that hard. Recovery does not have to be that scary.
It's fearful at first, but it's liberating.
Yeah.
Like you become a new person. I say it all the time. You know, it's like I watch, when I think about the old memories, it's like I'm watching a movie of someone else. Because I don't live nowhere near with the way I lived then, and it's like I'm watching you know, when I start having those thoughts and those
it's
memories.
cringy. It's like, oh no.
It's crazy that I've lived 2 separate type of lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Number 8, you made a list of all the persons you had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This is the one that I was trying to get to. I'm always in a rush to get to this one.
Yeah.
Y'all go knocking on people's doors.
No, And this is why you have to like work this with a sponsor or somebody you trust, somebody that can help you walk you through this, because they should be telling you, like what Virginia said. Just because you're willing, and that's the key word in there, willing to make amends doesn't mean you need to, right? Because the sponsor should say, okay, these are the ones that you're gonna make right now. These are the ones, if you see them or whatever, if it comes about, okay, these you'll never make. You're willing to.
You can do it in a journal or
A journal,
a letter
yeah.
you never send.
Yeah. But these you'll never make, because it's not gonna it's gonna harm the other person more than it's gonna help you. So that's where that trusted individual comes from, and somebody helping you along and working you through it. Sit down with you on your list, and you'll go through each one of them. Like, this is what happened. This is a scenario and the things, and they'll be like, okay, go ahead and make those right now. These, when you see them, that's fine, make them. And these, don't ever do it.
Yeah.
Because it'll just harm that person.
You
And
don't want to re-traumatize
no.
yourself or the other person, because
Absolutely.
if they shut the door and scream at you and do anything else, you just undid some good work.
You did.
So choose not to do that. Write that letter you're never going to send.
And please be prepared on this one. Well, okay, never mind. I think it's okay. Number 9. Never mind.
Which is what we're going to talk about now.
Next, yes.
9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, which is what we're just talking about.
Absolutely. So, and I want, you got to be prepared on this, because, I got sober and I'm working the steps, and I'm feeling good about myself. I'm taking showers now, I'm
Brushing my teeth.
Brushing my teeth. I'm living life, And so I'm expecting everybody to say, "Hello, you're so great." Didn't happen, Some people were like, keep doing what you're doing. We're proud of you. We want you to be sober.
Don't trust your lick.
Yep. And then some people was
He'll be back in the sauce.
Yep. Some people's that, and then some people's like, I don't ever want to speak to you again. Get off my porch and don't come around here again. It's like, oh, okay. But at least I, tried to make the amends, but when you make it, it's just, and it's just about, hey, I know I did you wrong in the past, and I'm just here to say, how can I make it right with you? And that you give them that option. How can I make it right with you? And if they say, give me my $5,000 back, you got to be ready to give them that $5,000 back. Make payment arrangements or something. But it's just giving them that opportunity to say, how can we make this right? Because I want to make this right between us, And so, and I owed people money. I had to pay back, and set up a payment plan or whatever. I didn't have a lot back then, but I was working, so I was able to give them whatever. And like I said, some people accept it. Some people be like, forget about it. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay sober, please, because we don't need to hold you back. Yeah, so.
And then when someone calls or when someone wants to make amends or have that conversation, I would say, like, if that person were to call me, some weird part of me needs to hear that just so I can reconcile with what happened. But there's another part of me that knows I would go back down a rabbit hole. So you have to be really self-aware of your own, could I do this thing? Am I going to be re-traumatized? Can I have an intelligent conversation, safe conversation with someone that wronged me, and not ruminate, start looping again? So you just got to be really clear, especially women that are survivors of domestic violence. Exposure therapy, I have people that are like, let's just go hang out in a bar and see how you feel. I will never be the therapist that takes an alcoholic to a bar, because guess what? Your addiction brain is going to take over, and eventually you're going to well, I saw Norm and he
Yeah.
looked great and we had this conversation. I'm just going to pop in and see how he's doing once a month. Eventually it's going to be once a week, and then eventually it's going to be once a day. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're addicted to the thing that's trying to make amends with you, women, don't do that thing. Don't do that thing, because you're going to take 10 steps back in your own recovery. So,
Listen, when the the bar ain't just about the drinks.
yeah.
Like when I go into, and I've been in a bar in sobriety, and I'll be honest, like I'm being honest, I don't like going in them. I have no business there first. Secondly,
I cannot fathom you being in a bar right
and
now.
listen,
Like, I would fall
listen,
over if I saw you in a bar.
it's the whole atmosphere, right? The glasses clanging, the pool tables, the women, the music,
Giggling,
the
and
music, the
laughing,
laughing.
talking.
Man, that's my element. Like it's not only about the drink. Sure, I get drunk there, but 9 times out of 10, I went drunk
It's
to
the
the
energy.
bar.
It's the energy.
Yeah, it's
It
the whole
feels,
vibe,
yeah.
and it makes it seem like euphoria.
It is euphoria.
Well,
Your
when
dopamine is like,
well,
bring, bring,
well, I went in
Yeah.
there drunk. I wasn't spending all that money in there. I'd get 1, 2 beers.
Pre-game.
Yeah, I'm drunk when I get there. So, but yeah, those are the things. Concerts are the same way. Like many people associate, drinking and drugging with concerts, or whatever it is for you. Family barbecues can be a big thing.
Trigger. Yeah.
Trigger, like just
The city you live in, the street that you live on,
Yeah.
the bar you drank in, the chair you were always drinking in, the
Yeah.
glass you always drank out of.
absolutely
Stay away from that stuff. Donate it.
change it up.
Don't do that. Don't drive by the bar you always hung out. Don't go to the same place the carry out that you always brought your beer from. Alcoholics, drug addicts, like there's a pattern. Like here's
Oh,
where
yeah.
I dump my trash on Monday. Here's where I go on Tuesday. It's a pattern of behavior that you don't do those things.
I
Every
lived in
time
one
I drive
Groundhog
to
Day.
Lewis Center, my blood is like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here.
Oh, yeah. Same way with me in Cincinnati. Early on, man, because my kids lived down there. I would go down there and I just get this sick feeling in my stomach, and just like I want nervous.
You're on high alert.
My
you're like,
anxiety,
"Arr."
yeah,
It's,
anxiety.
yeah. So if you're having those visceral responses, those physiological responses, you probably shouldn't be doing that thing. So check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, should I be doing this thing? Should I allow person A to come to my house and apologize? The answer is no.
Right.
DV women, no. There is no good reason for you to be with that person again. No.
Yeah.
That's my final answer on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
So make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them, yourself, or others.
And one last thing I'll say on this is I've seen people. I mentioned Cincinnati, so I would go down to get my kids, and every now and then I would run into somebody or think about somebody, or see somebody and be like, I did them wrong, And sometimes they didn't even remember it, but I would go up to them and I'm like, hey, you remember me? And oh yeah, how you doing? Well, I did this to you a couple years ago. I really feel bad about it. I'm in recovery. How can I make it right between me and you? And they'd be like, wow, you did? Okay. Some were shocked. Some didn't remember. Some was like baffled at the whole thing. Like, you're sober? What? But I was willing.
I cannot imagine that side of it.
I was
I
willing.
can't see it.
I was willing to. So, yeah, you might just see somebody you ain't seen in years, and all of a sudden something triggers your mind, like you were saying with the incidences, and I'm like, yeah, I need to go talk to this person. I need to make it right. But yeah.
Safely.
Safely.
Go talk to folks. Okay, number 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it, which is what you just talked about.
Mm-hmm. But this is a daily inventory, and they kind of tell you, like, at the end of your day, kind of go over your day, you journaling, what did I do today? How did I handle things right? How did I handle things wrong? And then kind of summarize, your day, your recovery. What can I do better? How can I handle that situation better? And look at it. And I tell my clients all the time, that, listen, the amount of time it's going to take for you to catch things is going to get shorter and shorter. I'll use anger for an example. Right now, we get angry at this long, right? The next time you get angry, it's going to be this. You're going to catch it in this amount of time. The next time you get angry, you're going to catch it in this amount of time, right? The next amount of time you get angry, you're going to be right there. You're going to say, you know what? I'm not going to allow that to anger me. Right? And so it takes practice. It takes practice. It takes self-awareness. And this is what it means by promptly admitting when you're wrong. If I got to tell Virginia 2-3 times a day, I'm sorry I got angry at you. I didn't mean to yell and cuss.
Eventually, I'm gonna
eventually I'm gonna be like, I'm tired of apologizing to
Yeah.
her. I'm gonna quit being angry at. I'm gonna start learning how to control my anger. And catch it before I get to that explosion level or that cussing level or raised voice. And so, but it takes practice. And, I see guys and girls in recovery early and they struggle with that because they explode and then they're like, see, I'm not getting it. No, you caught it this time, right? Next time you'll catch it quicker and quicker until the practice becomes, you'll be self-aware of your anger, how your body feels, your heart rate, sweating, palm sweating. You'll know the cues and you'll be able to catch it. So, but it takes practice.
And awareness.
And awareness, yeah.
Real intention. I just had this conversation with a lady earlier. Like I had, sorry guys, I'm going to talk about it, premenstrual dysphoric disorder.
This is time for me to tune out.
Yeah,
No,
the hormones. Women, you know what I'm talking about. But, so there's two things, a DBT report card, dialectical behavioral therapy. Basically, it helps you track 2 weeks of your life, morning, early noon, late noon, evening, like how did I do in each of those time slots? What triggered me? How was my mood? How was my behavior? Did I do well? Did I not do well? And it really helps you track every single day for 2 weeks. So you can recognize, okay, every morning for 2 weeks, I was pissy in the morning when I was getting ready for work, getting the kids ready. I yelled at my wife every day. So something in that time slot needs to change. So it's called a DBT report card. You can look it up on Google. And that's something that you can do starting now to just recognize, like, what are the trigger points in your days.
Yeah, and journaling is great. Journaling.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be amazed when you journal how you go back even 2 weeks and read, what you journaled and what your mindset was and where you was at with things. It's challenging and it challenges you, and it's also a way for you to keep track of your growth too, because we're the last person to see our growth, right? Our therapist can say, "Wow, I see you're handling things different." Our family can say, "Oh, wow, see." But we're the last to see it. We don't see it. And I see a lot of clients like you. I'll tell them, man, I'll stop them, how proud I am of them and the things I see in them. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I see the growth in you.
Yeah.
But we're the last to see it in ourselves. So that journaling really allows us to have those snapshots of time how we thought and how we're thinking differently now. It's like, wow, I am thinking differently.
And
right?
intentionally tracking it
Absolutely.
will help you identify what are the hard parts. But I know when I was going through like that whole hormone thing, I knew when I was going to be mean. It's almost like something clicked in my brain. I was like, okay, folks, here we go. For the next week, I'm sorry in advance for whatever happens until they got a handle on it. So I think that self-awareness and understanding, like, what are my triggers, and asking your friends and your family, like, how do you know when I'm going back down the rabbit hole? What does that whole thing look like?
Mm-hmm.
You're sleeping more, you're isolating, you're moody, you're irritable, you're not eating as much. So you're going to recognize when you're feeling some type of way. But yeah, that personal inventory, and we'll talk more about your triggers and cravings and the stages of relapse and recovery. But yeah, it's a real hard look and awareness and being intentional with yourself and the world you live in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on 10?
No, I think we did good.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him. Key. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Dude, I can see, like, there's so much God in here.
It is.
Like, that. Okay, so I've been griping at James for years about AA because of this or that. Like, the psychology behind this, there are some things in here, like going and talking to people about what you did to them. Like, no, you should not be doing that thing. Where it makes sense. But then sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact. So I want to just say, sought through prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation are the same thing, in my humble opinion. Like, you're getting right with yourself. You're getting quiet. And your brain is going to show up for you and show you what the work is. So as you're going into prayer / meditation, same thing. Conscious contact with, I'm going to replace it with myself. I am fully aware of my skin. I am fully aware of my heart, my lungs. I am fully aware that my head is where my feet are at. I am fully aware that I am human. I am therefore. And then just be quiet. And your brain, that self-talk, is going to start talking to you. That's prayer and meditation. Is it God? If you call it that, is it source? Is it universe? Is it your own spirit, your own self? If you call it that, it doesn't matter. The God thing, it does matter if you're a firm believer in God, but it just open the door and trust the process and know that there's so much more to this than AA saying God, God, God.
I agree.
Say that okay.
I agree. And we have had some debates over the years, and we agree on a lot of the premises. For me, the prayer is me speaking to God. The meditation is me listening to Him, right? And so if I'm praying, that's me talking to Him. And then when I'm meditating, and I'm not good at it, can't lie, I've tried, and I've gotten better over the years. But when I need answers, I do that thing you're talking about: quiet, stillness, peaceful, and wait for answers, right? And that meditations are my answers for my prayers, and it's never the wrong time to pray. People, used to tell me, at night, put your shoes under your bed so that you got to kneel down to get them, and all this, pray by the bed, or, we've seen the movies, kids get under there and put their hands. I'm driving in the car like, Lord, help me today, please. I need some strength, man. And I need, and I pray every morning that put the people in front of me that need help and give me the words that you need me to speak to them. That's my morning one of my morning prayers now. But that's in my field. But there's no right or wrong way. It's just you. It's your conversation with your higher power. I call mine God, but I talk to Him. He knows how I talk to Him, and when I meditate, I'm looking for those answers. I'm being still. I'm letting the universe tell me what's going on, and what sometimes there's tough decisions to make, and so I look for answers.
And for those non-believers, it's yourself. It's the soul, deep, subconscious part of you that has the answers. If you just listen, just shut your mouth and listen. You know the right thing. Yeah. Everybody knows the next right thing to do. It's that. So it doesn't have to be a God thing, but there is definitely that self-talk, that inner voice that will show you the way if you just listen. I also call it God, but if you're not a believer, it's just that soft inner voice that has the answers. Yeah. Trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Yeah. We're on step 12. Okay,
I just know that a lot of people struggle with, like, God's will. What is the will for me, or what is His will, or what is my will, And I even thought about that a lot in early recovery too. Like, what does that mean? What is God's will for me?
Is that in here somewhere?
Yeah, the
Oh,
knowledge
His
of
will.
His will for us
Okay.
and the power to carry that out. Like what is His will for us? And like
That's a loaded question. How do you answer it?
well, I mean, everybody's going to come to their own thing, you know what I mean? Their own conclusion, like, what is your will?
Yeah, but how do you get to the conclusion?
For me, I believe that it's like, what are you passionate about? Like, you know what I mean? Because not everybody, like, for me, it was kind of an easy thing because I had lived this life. And so when it come time to me to go to school and get an education, this is the only thing I knew, right? It's the only thing I had experience in. I drove a forklift my whole addiction. So, but I knew how to drink and drug. I knew how to fake recovery and get recovery and do this and that. So, this was kind of an easy fix for me, right? Like I can do good work in this field. But some people are passionate about carpentry and but I think it's serving others is no matter what field you're in, being kind to others, serving others. You can do so much good things in this world that we don't do enough of. But everybody's gonna, you know, be on that searching journey, and this part of it is like, what is His will for me? What am I supposed to do with my life? What makes my life meaningful? Like I was talking to a guy over the weekend, and he was talking about depression and different things, and I was like, what gets you up in the morning? What gets you out of that bed in the morning? And it's a struggle answering that, right? And it's a struggle for a lot of people, and that's why we don't get out of bed in the morning, because we don't know what gets us out. We just get up and we go to maybe a meaningless job, and we're driving, drinking our coffee. Oh man, this 8 hours of this again, and those kind of struggles. I was that guy. I hated going to work. I hated life, and so I had no motivation to get up. Find your motivation. What gets you out of bed?
The fire in your belly.
And that could get you going on your
Passionate.
will, and that your passion, your motivation, that gets you started on your path to what is His will for me, but if you don't have it, it's hard to find it, if you're not looking for it. And I told him, when I asked him, what are you passionate about? What gets you out of that bed in the morning? He couldn't answer. I said, it's okay, but that's what you got to search for.
Right.
Like, I don't want you just to come up with a snappy answer or give me something that I want to hear. This is something I need you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need you to really put in the work thinking about this. What is it? And so when you get there, then we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's tough. It's a tough part.
I want to, there's a couple of points that I know, like, when people are asking me, like, what am I supposed to do now? First, I want to say to the addiction, people that have addiction, drugs and alcohol, there's a path, and I'm sure at some point we're going to cover that. There's a path for you to become us. And it's free to start out. You start out with peer recovery, then you go to CDCA, then LCDC, then LICDC, and if you want to go back to college and get your MSW or your bachelor's, and I say social work, no offense LPCs and MFTs, but there is a path for you to become us, which is what James did. So he's a great resource if you want information on how to do that. That information is also on Be Healthy's website. But back to His will for us. Like, the big question is, what am I doing here? What is this? What am I supposed to be doing here with this life? And so I always pose the $1 million question to people. If you had $1 million drop on your front doorstep tomorrow morning and you had to work, what would you do? What kind of work would you do? Would you rescue animals? Would you work with kids, the elderly? Would you plant flowers? Like, what, you ever seen the movie, The Notebook?
Mm-hmm.
Where he's talking to her and he's like, what do you want? Don't worry about what everybody else wants. What do you want?
Right.
That's the $1 million question. Like, if I could do anything in the world, what would I do with the rest of my life? So start there. And then there's another way that will kind of jog you into thinking about, what do you want? Let's say I'm 54 this year. So hypothetically, if I have 20 more years to hang out on this planet, or 30 more years to hang on this planet, then I can get busy living or I can get busy dying. Like, what am I going to do for 30 more years? Do you know what is the worst thing ever? Disability and retirement. Like, get busy dying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
They
those
say,
are the
yeah.
worst things for people to do unless you've got a really active plan. But is it travel? Is it family? Is it kids? Is it palm trees and beaches? Is it selling surfboards? Is it being a greeter at Walmart? You cannot just check out because you're old. Like, what are you doing? And, some people would say I'm old, but I'm not even close to being done. I've got so much to do here. So, my original thought on that, I did my dissertation on motivational videos. So if you want some ideas that are going to help you kind of generate, like, from yourself, what do I want? How many books have I read? Where do I want to be? What's on my bucket list? Where do I hope to be 5 years from now? When I started my MSW, I was a daycare provider. And I love my kids. Some of you guys might be watching right now because we're friends now with you being grown-ups, but love you all. But my passion was not childcare. I did that because I had twins. My passion was helping people, and social work was always in my heart. So at 40, I was like, I can be here watching kids when I'm 5 years from now, or I can be a social worker and be a counselor 5 years from now. It wasn't a choice. Like, go back to college, just like what you did.
Absolutely.
Like, where do I want to be in 5 years from now?
Yeah.
What's it? Do I want to be a homeowner? Do I want to have kids? Do I want to be married? Do I want to have a sports car? Do I want to own my own company? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But motivation videos, that's what I did my dissertation on. There's motivating language inside those videos. So if every day you go to YouTube and just tap into a motivational video every single day, you will be learning a new language, just like Italian or French or German or Chinese or whatever.
That's good.
So just listen to those motivational videos, and eventually you're going to be speaking like that. And eventually, whatever you put into the universe, you're right, and your brain believes you. Whatever you're hearing, your brain believes you. So if you start doing a motivational video every single morning for 30 days, I promise you your life will change. You get a new language, and it will help you generate those, who do I want to be? What is God's will for me? What am I doing here on this earth? Like, what the time I have left, let me make the most impact here. Let me leave a legacy. What do I want? What do you want?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say this. This year, so far, I have had 7 graduates in my program. And this is a year-long program, right? And every time one of them graduates, it just kind of chokes me up, man. They get they leave with their license, cars, jobs, their own place, moving into their own place.
Education, even a high school diploma.
GEDs.
Starting at the beginning, that's what we do.
Father up programs. One guy got his CDLs. Like, it's life
Look,
changing.
I have chills covering.
Yeah. It's life changing, and it tears me up because listen, all my pain and struggles and everything I had to go through, I believe, and it was my own will. I was running on my self-will. This was who I was, I told myself. This is how I'm gonna die, I told myself. And that was all self-will. But in recovery, I found God's will. And so, me going through everything I've went through, God turned it around to make me who I am today. And he puts me in front of the people he needs me to be in front of.
Amen.
I believe that.
Yes.
And they recover. Yeah. And I'm proud to say that I'm a part of their journey. I'm not their journey. I'm just a small part. But God uses me in a way to take that pain and that hurt and that trauma and turn it into love, forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Preach.
Yes.
Preach,
yes.
James.
Yes. And so I'm just proud to be a part of their
Yeah.
anything, you know, their recovery and their success, man. I'm so proud of it.
I
So
love
proud
getting
of it.
those phone calls.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm still
Yes.
my rep park's doing great.
Yes.
I'm still listening to videos. I'm still sober.
Yes.
My favorite thing. Because I always wonder, man, whatever happened to them? And then they call me 5 or 10 years later, and I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing the work I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
It's powerful when you find what you're supposed to be doing here. Find your passion. Don't schlep at a job you hate for 30 more years or 10 more years or 5 more seconds.
Yeah.
Like, get with a
It's
good
draining.
coach.
It's draining. It's draining.
Okay. And the power to carry it out. His will, your will, and the guts, I almost said balls, to carry it out. Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and do the thing,
Yep.
right?
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
No
And
job ever came knocking on my door saying, "Hey, you need to work." School didn't come knocking on my door saying,
Yeah,
"Hey, you
your
want to go to
future is
school?"
not coming for you.
It's not coming for you. You got to go after your
Yeah, yeah.
footwork.
And be brave.
Yep.
And sometimes, you're going to have a part-time job and a full-time job and a volunteer job and you're going to college all at the same time. Well, suck it up, Buttercup. Do you want the thing or don't you?
Mhm.
It's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. It will be so worth it if you just do the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we definitely have stories about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, crazy hard work. But that's how you also build strength and stamina and awareness and confidence. Like every single win you have because you're moving towards your future. If it's meant for you, it'll come easy.
Absolutely.
If it's not meant for you, you're going to fight it every step of the way. So, food for thought. Just
Absolutely.
stay aware of
Hard
are
work
you
pays
on
off.
the yellow brick road?
Hard work pays off.
Yeah. Okay, step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs.
Yes.
Dark night of the soul. Have you ever heard that phrase?
Mm-mm.
Dark night of the soul.
Mm-mm.
Your addiction was your education. Coming out of addiction, as hard as that was the dark night of your soul. That was it was harder to come out of addiction than to be addicted.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It was, right?
It was.
I know it was easy to be in that relationship and complacent and be the yes sir.
Mm-hmm.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Leaving was the hardest thing. It was one of the greatest, hardest experiences of my life.
Absolutely.
It challenged every fiber of my being. My soul, my body, my brain. It was the
Mhm.
hardest thing I ever did. Is the dark night of my soul.
Yes.
It was the biggest growth I've ever experienced as a person and in my career.
Absolutely.
Realizing the things I was capable of, continuing the training, continuing to work hard on my own recovery.
Mhm.
It was hard as hell, but it was also the greatest accomplishment outside of my children that I've ever experienced. And I think if I were to line up 10 people with addiction, I would say they would agree that 9 out of 10 would say, yeah, that was the easy part is being addicted. And we've said this, the hard part is recovery.
Yeah. I can go get drunk right now. That's pretty easy. I got a couple dollars in my pocket. I can go to the store, chug a couple 40s. I'm on my way. But,
Then you gotta live with yourself tomorrow.
Yeah. But, trying to become a better man is the challenging part today. Trying to be a better man than I was yesterday. Putting things in place, constantly looking at myself, constantly trying to improve myself. Looking in that mirror and figuring out what needs to be done, putting in the footwork to make it happen, to be better. That's hard. It's work.
Choosing every day to get up and do it again.
Do it
and
again.
Do it again.
Do it
and
again.
do it again
Yeah.
until something clicks.
Yep.
Because not everything is going to click. You have to fuck around and find out. You have to fail your way up. I don't know if we can say the F word, but that's exactly how this
Don't
happens.
get a kick off. No.
Yeah. But you do. You have to fail your way up. You
You
have
do.
to touch everything,
You know.
break everything, And eventually you're going to figure out what makes the most sense. What is the map? You know, without a map, you're not going to know how to get there. You said this to me early when we met. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
You have to keep that map, that
You
life
got to.
map. You got to start somewhere and trust that every single day something is going to happen today that's going to get me one step closer to where I'm needing to be.
Absolutely, because I tell my men all the time, a man with no future will always return to his past because it's comfortable. So if you have nothing to look forward to, no goals, no objectives, no nothing that you're striving for, the comfortability is already waiting on you back there, you know. And I talk to him in this terms. If I'm telling you to go to North Carolina at a certain address, what are you going to do first? Punch it in your GPS. That's today's people, right? You put it in your GPS to get there. Well, you need a GPS for your recovery. Like you're saying, if this thing ain't mapped out, if you ain't got that GPS going and where you're going, you're gonna return.
You're gonna sit on the couch with your remote control.
Yeah, and that beer's gonna be right next to you eventually. It's not. You gotta have a plan in what you're trying to do, and constantly reinventing yourself. New goals, short-term goals. 30, 60, 90, then reinvent them again. Long-term goals, things you're shooting for. We've been out of school a while now, but we got goals. This was one of them. This has been a goal we talked about for a long time, years. But guess what? We was both in our in our professional things, going to school or doing this. She's getting her agency started, things going. We just had a lot of things going. But now is the time
to. Sorry.
Yeah. Now is the time that we said, this is a perfect time. Let's go. But this is something we've talked about. We have other things.
And we could have talked and talked and talked. I was like, screw it.
Yeah.
I went to the.
And had everything one day.
Yeah. We're doing this, right?
We're doing it right now. Yeah. We talked about it one day. Next day, this place was full of microphones.
Yeah. No fear.
But that's it. That's But it's cultivated from us talking about it for years and years. We need to do this. We want to do this. It's something, and we're having fun with it.
Right?
It's having fun with it. Yeah, timing. So sometimes things ain't right. You can't get them right then, but just that don't mean you give up on that dream. When I first started school, I said I'm going to get my associates and I have my CCA. Yeah, But I just kept going and going and going, and it's like, okay, I am smart. Okay, I can do this. All right, yeah, and like you said earlier, self-esteem, self-worth grows from each of our victories. Each one of those, I know it might seem insignificant, but I was working with somebody with depression, and I said, and they couldn't get out of bed, and I said, get up, get out of bed, walk to the kitchen, get a glass of water, and walk back, right? And they're like, well, that's an accomplishment because you can't get out of bed. You're balled up, you're crying. Get out of bed, go get some water. Guess what? That's an accomplishment. Next day, we'll try to get in the shower, and if you get to the shower, turn the water on and turn around, get back in bed, it's okay. You accomplished something. Don't take those small victories and just brush them off, because that step out of that bed was a victory. So we got to count for everything.
Mel Robbins, she does activation energy. It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So activation energy is the time you get a thought to the time you're in action is 5 seconds. So if you're having a hard time going to the gym, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. By the time you get to 1, you should be moving in the direction of the thing you want to do. It's called activation energy. There's a science. It's a researched, scientific-based element that you can easily put into place starting today.
Yep, that's good.
What time is it?
Wrapped up on the steps. So we'll have some.
What time is it?
6:05.
Oh, okay.
The hour goes quick. So next week we'll have some new stuff going.
Yeah. So we still have to talk about readiness.
Readiness?
Yeah.
Steps have been fun though. I knew it was going to be fun. But over the years, I
can't believe you got me here.
But I gotta say, over the years, you've grown into it, man. Yeah, you've evolved into it. Like, yeah, he's okay. you know.
Oh, you
Even
said
though
that
there's-
out loud.
Well, even though there's some language in there, we still, you know, but
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
You guys, could you please change up some of this language? That would be my wish.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys,
you,
everyone,
guys.
for hanging out with us.
Yep.
And we'll see you next Tuesday for more good stuff.
Yep, we'll be here.
And now I have to turn off 50 gadgets.
And we're out.